Do you allow others to stifle your creativity? I know I have in the past, sometimes still in the present, and hopefully not in the future. Hi, welcome to the Cables, Lace, and Tails podcast. My name is Sue. I am a maker from northwestern Wisconsin. Today we have a remote learning day because supposedly we were supposed to get a huge winter storm. However, the gradient was extremely tight and missed us completely. Even though the radar shows that it's snowing, there must be some dry layer, which has happened so many times over the past year, where it's so dry we don't get any precipitation. It's a big bummer because we could really use the moisture. Whether snow or rain, at this point, I don't care. So, I have a lot to talk about today. Not so many works in progress, but I did bring out some things I have finished in the past, and I thought I would talk about them. First thing, you can't really see it because it's really dark. I'm going to grab it. I did it with my viewfinder. This blanket is courtesy of 1988. I made this for somebody, but never gave it to them because we broke up and I kept the blanket because I don't think I finished it until afterwards. But it's a simple, I believe, half double crochet. I did it in the back loop, so it gives that kind of ridged fashion. I was looking at it and I made a lot of mistakes because, you know, this was my first finished object ever in crochet that was larger than, say, like a pot holder or a pot, you know, a trivet for a table. So this is probably Red Heart yarn. I know I got it from Walmart. I do not know the color. It has that old acrylic feeling, that really plasticky fake wool that they used to try. It is scratchy. But I found it recently. I was going through one of my clothes bins. I did not find my green sweater yet, but I was going through one of my clothes bins and then I found some old blankets and whatnot. And I thought, why am I just keeping this tucked aside? I'm going to bring it out and we're going to use it. And if the cats need it and they, you know, tear a little bit out, which they did, they pulled one of the strands, I don't really care. It has been, I'm trying to do the math, almost 40 years. Almost 40 years. So it deserves to be used. So I'm going to put it back here. Oh, there we go. And go on with something else. I don't know what hook I used. It was probably a G hook or an H hook, and it was the old kind, a boy. I know I had either a G or an H at that time. So, well, whatever. And then I'm going to show this. I made this crochet pillow when I first started getting back into crochet when my daughter was a toddler. And it basically, I'm looking. So this is the front. So this is, I started here. It's simple increases for the circle. I saw the yarn at the store and I thought, ooh, I would love like a pillow or something, you know, because it has that striping and it kind of makes it feel like it has movement. Ooh, like, you know, those old fashioned hypnotic devices that they used to use in the ancient times of my childhood on shows. But I just increased to a certain amount and then I just continued working around and then I started decreasing over and over. Now I packed this full of poly-fil, so it was really quite big, but I sit with it on my back and it has squished over time. Now I got this out of the bin at the same time as that this blanket. And I thought, why am I just letting this sit in a bin when I can use it? And I was nervous because of the cats, right? So I thought, well, this would be a good test. If I make them their couch, then I would know that they will not or will destroy it. And so far, they haven't even hardly touched it. Maybe it's the pattern. Maybe they see something in it that scares them. But I have caught them leaning up against it. So you know, there's always hope that they won't destroy it. My third thing I'm going to show is this was made, I just learned how to knit, and I was still working at the Chippewa Manor, so it had to be before 2017, probably 2016, or for sure 2000s, somewhere around there, 2016, 2017, and let's hold it up. You know those dishcloths that you start at the bottom and you increase, and you get the eyelet stitches on the side. Can you even tell? I don't know if you can tell. There's eyelets on the side, and you just keep increasing, and then you get to that middle point, and then you start decreasing, so you have a square dishcloth, but you make it on the diagonal. Well, I thought, well, why can't I make a shawl like that? Well, there's reasons. I'm going to show you part of the reasons. Now, I needed it to be bigger, so I started increasing, thinking this would work. And essentially, I mean, I follow no pattern other than the dishcloth pattern to a certain point. So I just kept increasing to a certain point. And I know it took me a really long time, because this was made out of Patons Classic Wool. And it's a really beautiful kind of purpley, pinky, heathery. I looked online. They don't make this colorway anymore, which is a shame, because it is so pretty. Now, I did bring this to my knitting group. I remember that. And the ladies were like, you're not going to be able to use it like that. And then I said, well, why can't I? And then I kept making it bigger and bigger and bigger. And so it kind of wraps around. And maybe they just thought, you know, that I was being frivolous in my purchases, because, you know, Patons wool isn't the cheapest wool, and it isn't the most expensive. But when I'm cold at home, I get out my big cardigan, the gray one that I showed many moons ago. I wrap this around myself, try not to get the cord, and then I just tie it once and back. Now, I probably couldn't wear this out in public because it doesn't stay together, but if I am planning to say, okay, I'm going to sit down and watch an hour-long show or podcast or whatever, you know, I'm going to sit down and dedicate that time. Well, it's kind of nice. I like it. I'm just going to sit there and work on stuff. It's very nice. It's very warm. It doesn't look too bad. It's just not functional outside the home. But that's okay, because in my mind, I'll keep it along a lot longer. Now, I believed I used a US size 8. I believe. It's been so long, and back then, oops, I lost my hair. I didn't even pay attention. I know I probably did what was suggested, and it kind of looks like an 8. I just used garter stitch throughout the whole thing. I'm going to hold it up again. Throughout the whole thing, I used garter stitch. I did teach myself how to make one using the Elizabeth Zimmerman's backwards E method, but I just cast off. It taught me a lot. It taught me so much, you know, and it has kind of like a crescent moon at the end, which I do use this to tie. That part I use to tie in back. So I may put it on if I get cold, but at present I am not. So onwards and upwards. Now my last finished object I am going to show has a pattern that I got off of Etsy. I don't remember the name of the person, but under the title it says Vintage Pattern Faves. Okay. I got this because I wanted to make tank tops. My daughter likes wearing tank tops in the summer, and I got that big amount of big twist yarn from Joann's. This is called Violet Splash. I did make it. I don't think I did a gauge swatch, to be perfectly honest. Excuse me, my voice is having a hard time. Yesterday we were attacked by a dog on our walk and I screamed really loud, and I think I'm having issues now. But okay, I'll just have a sip of coffee and it'll be okay. Okay, I got it off of Etsy. My daughter tried it on. I think I made the smallest size for her, which would be a small for a 31.5-inch bust. And she's petite, so this really sits big on her. But as you can see, the color, it does have those natural stripes within the yarn. I'll show you on my cardigan that I'm using. I'm using that on the same as my lace cardigan I am working on. But I learned all about shaping, and I did make the straps too long. I made them according to pattern, which I thought, that's really big. So it was too long for my child. It came like down to her belly button. So I got brave and I chopped them off because I had sewn them back here. You can see all the area that I had to re-sew and, you know, fudge up and whatnot. So I cut it off, restrung my needle, and, you know, fixed it, bound off. I believe I bound off, and then I just sewed them together. But it's nice. She wears it at home. She won't wear this out in public. You know, sometimes you just need that comfortable loose shirt when it's like 90 degrees out and you can't stand to wear nothing, but you have to wear something. So it's very simple. I thought, you know, I can make it, but make it longer for myself because I wouldn't want something midriff. I've never been a midriff person. I don't like cropped shirts, never have. Even when at my most teeniest and tiniest, I never liked it. So I'm going to go into my works in progress and talk a little bit of stuff. So my first works in progress, I had put off to the side since the last time we just talked. I didn't touch it all week. And the reason why I barely touched my knitting this past week was I recorded last Tuesday, and today is Wednesday. I recorded last Tuesday, and on Wednesday, someone was trying to stifle my creativity. That's the nicest way I can put it. And it really, really made me freeze because it reminded me of so much from my past of not being able to express my creativity. And I really think expressing one's creativity, no matter good or bad, you know, because some people think graffiti is really bad, but sometimes graffiti can be beautiful. Now, let's go on to this right now and we'll talk about other things soon. Here's my little stitch marker. You can barely see it. So I decided, I left off here thinking, do I need to do another full pattern repeat to get to the size I want? I laid it out nicely without my dog sitting next to me so I could get an accurate measurement. Laid it out. I got 14 inches. It needed to be 15.25 inches. So I thought, well, approximately that's one full pattern repeat. And now, before I did the next two rows, it measured 15.5 inches. So I marked that down in my notes that each piece will have to be 15.5 inches by the time I get to the armhole shaping. So I forgot to put a lifeline on my last row. So I decided I'll put it on the first row, armhole shaping. I wrote it down, and I'm really glad I switched my markers to these little pinnable clips because, yeah, once again, I didn't even think about it, and I strung my lifeline right through the stitch marker like these, which I'm going to keep until I pull out the stitch mark or the lifeline. So I did the first two decreases, so you can barely see this. It is so monochromatic. I'm going to just try something. No? You can see barely. I just started decreasing. I did 2 rows last night. My hands started aching a little bit because I had done a full pattern repeat the day before. And I thought, you know what? That's good. I'm just going to do the 2 and then let it go. So it's coming along. I'm going to have to just be patient with myself with this because hand pain is a real thing, especially working with natural fibers. I thought it would be a little different because I thought the big twist cotton poly, since there's polyester in it, I thought it'd be a little bit more easy on the hands. Like the Patons linen, which has linen and cotton, that's not too bad on the hands. But I don't know, this one is. I am using Knit Picks 4 square laminated birch needles, size 8. Yeah, 5mm. I did use, is it? Yeah, 5mm. I really like them. I like the little pointy tips, especially working purl 2 together through the back loop. That is a tricky stitch that you need a sharp point to just get in there and get it done. Now I will just keep working on the armhole shaping, and then I'll start working on one of the fronts, and whichever front they have in the pattern next. I will show the pattern in a second. It is from my Leisure Knits book, Necessary Knits. I'm going to show a different picture this time because I always show the front one and all this. Well, that's another nice one. Let's see. I think they only have the front of it. So, trying to not get the glare. So, hopefully it'll come in handy at work. I really need more cardigans in my life. That is true. Now, I'm looking. Now, I learned how to say. I'm going to show you the book first. Sorry, Nordlands. I'm making this scarf. I'm going to go to the front. And I'm going to just show. She's wearing it on her head. I Googled to say how to say this word, and it is terpsichore. No, terpsichore. Terpsichore. I wrote it phonetically even. Terpsichore. Terpsichore. I don't want to get too much about her head. I'll show you what it looks like in the picture of it laid out. Mine, will mine block out to this nice point? We'll see, but it's gonna look like that. Now, I was really upset with my creativity being stifled. I was really angry. I'm not gonna get really involved into that conversation because this is the internet and that's my private life, but it really triggered something in me. It really did. And I didn't like it. And I thought, like I barely worked on anything on Wednesday, and I was really, really frustrated. Thursday, I sat down myself and I said, hey, this is reminding you of when you were young and you couldn't work on projects you thought were interesting because they didn't go with what your parent, and I'm not saying either parent or both parents or either or, one of my parents at any given time would stifle my creativity and basically tell me that wasn't for me. you know, let me decide if it is for me. That's what I try to do with my daughter. I just wish she would follow through with more things, but she does like certain things and she should follow her own path. It's not up to me what she studies in school. Yes, I want her to do well in school, but if she wants to go to a trade school or a college or an apprenticeship or work for a while, I am letting her decide these things because she should have some ownership over her life. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. Anyway, now, in order for me to get out of these thoughts that were plaguing my mind, because, you know, when people stifle your creativity, they put doubt in your mind, and doubt feeds on fear, and fear then leads to worry, and then you end up not sleeping for a week straight, except for like 5 hours a night, and then you turn into a crazy lady. I'm going cray cray. So I started working on my, sorry Nordland, Terpsichore. It means goddess in Greek, which I thought, oh, how beautiful. Anyway, so here's my point right here. There's the point, and the point I'm trying to make. You have to pay attention to what you're doing. Yes, I can follow the pattern pretty easily. I'm in the decreasing area right now, which is happening on this side. It's looking okay. I'm kind of doing it what feels natural because I'm not understanding the chart, or maybe I am and I'm doing it right. Needless to say, I am working on it. I have gotten, let's see, 1, 2, almost 3 inches done since Thursday, which isn't bad. I mean, that's a week. And I don't work on everything all at once because I get bored, okay? This really helped me think things through, but at the same time, didn't let me dwell, okay? And that's a big problem for me. I dwell and I dig my hole, and then I just live in that negative space for far too long, and I'm tired of it. I am over a half a century and I'm tired of living that way. I can make things, I can do things that are fun, I can be beautiful in my own certain way, just like everybody else. Getting a little passionate right now. I am part Italian, just so you know. I'm a lot of other things, but that is one. So I am just working along. This is made out of, I'm almost done with my first skein of yarn. It is Knit Picks Upcycle Alpaca. Just a side note, Knit Picks does not sponsor me. I am not an affiliate member with them as of right now. I have looked into their affiliate membership, but their third-party system that they go through is changing names or has changed names. It just seemed really complicated, and I just didn't want more complication at this present moment in time because I am working through some stuff. Anyway, this Upcycle Alpaca blend is now back in stock with the worsted weight. I am using the sport weight. A lot of people on their website, one of the negatives about this yarn is that they said that the worsted weight was the same yarn thickness as the sport weight, but you get less yardage. I don't know if that's still true because they had sold out of all the past supply and now they have new colors. This is a mixture of wool, acrylic, and alpaca, about equal amounts. You know, so if it was 100%, it'd be like, 33, 33, 34, and I don't remember which has more. And the color is oyster. I like the brown. It's a muted brown. It doesn't have a lot of variations with tone within it, but it will match a lot. And I wanted it to be a little bit thicker because I get really cold on my neck, especially in the winter. And I thought this might be a really nice layering piece at work because I found a coat, a brand new coat. In one of the bins I was going through this past week, because I got a wild hair up I got a lot done on Thursday, believe me, and I kind of pulled out my back and neck, but that's fine because I was energized. But I found a coat I had gotten from my dad, I believe in like 2008, but at the time I was a lot smaller than I am now, and it just sat on me so big, and I thought, why did he give this to me? And I packed it away, and then we moved, and then we moved, and then we moved, and I was going to go through all this stuff this past fall, but then my bins got moved from downstairs out to the garage where I didn't want them to be. So I took it back, and I found my new coat for work. I'm so happy I don't have to buy a new coat, and it fits. I went like this. I'm like, all right, it fits. It's going to be perfect. It's for that in-between time, and this scarf is going to look really nice with it. It's a brown coat, light like a tan, with a brown cuff and collar, and it's a zipper, and it has pockets, and I'm going to be able to wear my walkie without having it fall off. At school I wear a belt pouch, I have a walkie-talkie, and the belt pouch is like a first aid pouch just in case. Lots of band-aids on the playground, but it has been used for other more serious things as well. But I gave the person who was dealing with the injury my belt pouch, and I just kept the kids away because I don't do with blood very well. Anyway, so this is the Terpsichore scarf by Starry Nordland. I am using Knit Picks 4 square, the laminated birch. It's the set I got. Sometimes they have a deal on needle sets, like 25% off. So when that happens at present price, they're around $58, where normally they're like $79. So it's a good time to buy. I really like this. This is really going well. I know I did not do a gauge swatch on this because it is a scarf, and I didn't care if it didn't come out to the exact measurements as Sari's, because it's a scarf. I do have more of this yarn. Sorry for the crinkles, I'm gonna try it down here. So I'll just show you, it comes with 273 yards per 50 gram ball. It says it's a sport weight, size 2, you hand wash, and you lay flat to dry. It's in the color oyster. What else can I say? It's really nice. When they were getting rid of this, I did buy a few more skeins so I can make other things. Like in this book, there's a pair of gloves or fingerless mittens, and there's hats, and there's all kinds of stuff. There's other scarves. I can't find the mitts, but anyway, I'm not going to keep looking because it's in here. If you have the book, you know what I mean. It's up my list to do. But first things first, this needs to be finished. I am just using a tiny little cable needle. I like it. I did recently buy the hook ones, and I like those too, but for this, it's just simple. And just stick it in my yarn. My cats are being super good today. I think they were being really active earlier because they're not used to us being home. Earlier today, since it was a remote learning day, my daughter was able to get done with her schooling via the computer, and I also put in my time via the computer taking some classes. What did I take? I took a lot of behavioral classes today because I deal with so many emotions out on the playground, in the lunchroom, sometimes even in the library. I am the librarian's primary para, and every other week she's at the other school. So like this week, I just catch up on all the, like, I print out copies for coloring pages. I process new books. I stock or reshelve the books, make everything look pretty. I stock the caddies for the pencils, markers, highlighters. What's the other thing? Crayons. The school. So, I do all kinds of busy work during the week that she's not there. But since we had remote learning day due to the foreseeable non-existent storm, I took 2 classes via my school's district, and I got to learn some stuff, which is awesome. Now, one thing that has helped me also get through this mindset of I sit and knit too much, or I sit and crochet too much, and I should be doing other things with my life. I have put my creativity on the back burner, I would say, for at least the first 35 years of my life. That everything I found exciting or wanted to do, I was told, you're not good enough. You shouldn't do that. You don't know what you're doing. You can't do that. What would make you think you could do that? And I would just, oh, I'm not good enough. I can't draw. I can't crochet. I make everything wrong. Like when I was making this blanket, my parent told me I was doing it all wrong. And I'm like, but I'm doing it the way you showed me. No, you didn't listen to me. You're doing it all wrong. Bat the favot. Anyway, I'm going to take this out. I recently learned when I was mad and staring at my computer screen, and sometimes you get an idea like, oh, I wonder. And then I decided, well, do they sell? So this is Barocco. I don't know where the band went, so I don't remember how many yardage. Barocco Dolce. It is a mixture of wool, cotton, and nylon, and it is a braided, so those strands are braided together, and then brushed alpaca is around it. And you can kind of see the halo. Can you see it? Right there. If I go slow. Let's see. I'm hoping you can see it. Now, I thought this would be my simple, when I just want to knit something and go back and forth, back and forth. It is, however, with the brush alpaca, I have to be careful because it gets caught. So it's becoming a nice mindful knit. And it helps me slow down. It helps me focus on the beauty of the yarn. So when I was looking up Barocco Dolce, I learned it's a discontinued yarn. They still sell it in various spots. It's not very cheap. I will not be buying more, but this is in the colorway Jade. Ooh, looking at it on my phone screen, it's really cool looking. Now, when I did the sample, which was very small, my gauge swatch, because I only have so much yarn, I think it's 175 yards per 50-gram ball, and this is my gauge swatch. So once you like wet block it, it does become a little bit more muted, but you can still see the brown stripe. Anyway, I am using my drop shoulder V-neck cardigan from my Ann Bud's book. I am making the size 44 for the back, the 42 for the front, and the size 40 for the sleeves. Is that what I decided? Yep, that's what I decided. Just a little quick show. So you find your size, you find the how much yarn per inch over here, and then you go and you follow that column down in the spreadsheet format. I am really enjoying this project. This project is soft like a cat. It's beautiful. It's going to be one of my treasured items. Like I'm going out to dinner and I know it's going to be cold. Instead of bringing that old zip up sweatshirt that I have and I don't like anymore, I can bring a nice cardigan. So I have not put a stitch marker on this, and I don't think I will. It is so soft and airy that I don't want to stretch out a stitch. So I have little treasures all over. I have a little ruler here. Let's see. So it's about 5.5 inches right now. In fact, I should mark that down. Hold on. 5.5 inches. I'm gonna go 5.5 inches. I'll know what I mean. So I decided to use a size, US size 5, or 3.75 millimeter. I'm really having a hard time putting this up. It's so floppy. For the 1x1 ribbing, I decided to do 9 rows of ribbing, which equals 1.5 inches. And then I am just doing stocking knit back and forth, except for on the side and the back, I do 1 knit stitch and the rest are purl to give it that nice little edge where I can definitely see. It's so hard to see. This little edge right here will be easier to see when I sew up. I don't know if I'll sew up using this yarn. We'll see how much I have left. Otherwise, I'll find something similar. You shouldn't be able to see the stitches from the outside if I do it right. We'll see. But for the main body of the sweater, I am using Knit Picks Radiance in the size 7 or 4.5 millimeter. This was a free gift from them. They had a sample set that you could just, test out these needles. And they had, if you bought so much in your order, you could see, because sometimes they run out of these free kits or free bags really quickly. And I lucked out. I got a pair. I really like them. I have been tempted to buy a full set of these. I find that I need certain needles more than others, but sometimes with the sets that I already do have, which I have 3, I have Knit Picks Zing, which I used for the ribbing. They worked okay. They're more a flat tip on the needle. And then I have Knit Picks Knitter's Pride Zing, Knitter's Pride Dreams. Those are wood. And then I have the Knit Picks 4 Square. And then I have these samples. I have learned, even though I love the Zings, they're not always good for certain projects. Like I was using it on my poly cotton lace cardigan that I showed earlier, and it just was not working out. I just could not do the purl 2 together through the back loop. It was too blunt of a needle. I tried using my Dreams and it just wasn't working out. I don't know why it wasn't working out, but then I thought, well, why don't I try the Knit Picks 4 Square laminated birch ones, and that is working. So moving along, one day I'll have a cardigan, and it's really nice. It's like, you know what? I only have 15 minutes. I can do 2 rows on this. I don't really have to think about it. I can just knit, but it's more so mindful that I can just kind of block out the world, block out the worry, and just kind of concentrate on what I'm doing, because I like being artistic. I like having my creativity. It really, really makes a huge difference. Now, over break, I was crocheting a ton. a ton. Okay. I have mentioned I am making, it's in a big bag now. We'll start with the yarn choice. My coworker has a son who has severe anxiety, and she wanted a small blanket. And I had some leftover yarn from a previous project, and I made her a small blanket out of that. And she's like, "How did you know?" And I said, "I like to be mysterious. I like to be mysterious." Anyway, so I told her what kind it was. It has a new name now because I bought mine 4 years ago. So she went to the store because she wanted to make him a lap blanket or a larger blanket, but not so large, but something he could keep for the rest of his life. So she bought it's loops and thread, Delicate DK. It's an acrylic blend, which is acrylic and polyamide. And let me see, it has 315 yards, 4 ounces. It's a 113 gram ball. It's called Beachy Multi. It's a size 3, so it's a light yarn. 70% acrylic, 30% polyamide. It says you can wash warm on the gentle cycle, but do not tumble dry. You have to lay it flat. I thought, and I told her, you could probably put it in the dryer without heat. Just, fluff it up a bit. It should be fine. That's what I do with my daughter's sweaters that I made out of the same stuff, and it's fine. Now I'm going to hold it up in front of me, and I am done crocheting the body of the blanket. I don't want to get it attached to my microphone. I'm going to hold it sideways. This helped me so much. Now, my intention, I thought to myself, I've already started it right before break. It was, I wasn't working on it constantly. I was working on it here and there. And whenever I get down to like about this much, I'm like, ooh, I wonder how many rows I can get or whatever. And I start playing games with myself, like, how fast can I use up this skeiny yarn? So I thought, all right, we're coming up on spring break, which was last week. And I thought, okay, I'm going to work on this consistently, and I'm going to get it done so I can give it to her when we go back to school. And then, I was working, and there was a point in time where I was getting really mesmerized because I have to look at my crochet. Sometimes depending on the stitch or the yarn, I can watch TV or I can look around. I can talk to others. I can talk with people while I'm crocheting if it's just back and forth, but I can't look up. I don't know why. I make mistakes. That's all I know. So I remember looking at my thing. I was watching something. I don't even remember what because my head was down. And I was listening. And it's great to listen to like history stuff. I love history show, or like another podcaster where you don't have to really look. They're just talking. I love it. In fact, I find at least an hour-long podcast is really good for me because that gives me an excuse to sit and work on something and also learn something, because you can always learn a little bit of nuggets of information from everyone you find. Now, this caused the person in my life to say, I don't do anything but crochet. I don't pay attention to my child. I don't take care of the house. I don't do anything worthwhile. Yes, I realize I'm a drudge on society. Vaffanculo. Anyway, I know how to swear in Italian. So, this is double crochet. I'm using a 4.5 millimeter ergonomic hook. It is 34 inches across before the border. Now I am going around and around and around I'm making the, see if I can hold it without stretching. He likes the holes. He wanted the holes. Like this, like my grandma would be like, oh, you put holes in it. But that's what he wanted. That's what he wanted. Okay? You do what a person wants, especially when they need it to keep them calm through strife. Now, I know I have mentioned this before. Can you see? My coworker is one of the sweetest ladies I've ever met. She is a gentle giant. She is quite tall. She has medical issues with that I don't have the right to talk about, but she has some medical issues that end her up in the hospital periodically. She also cut her hand at Halloween carving a pumpkin, and she damaged her tendons where she can't even make a fist anymore. She's working on it, and she's in PT and all that stuff. But her son really suffers when she's in the hospital, and it just makes me so sad. And that's why I kept bugging her. Did you ever find that yarn that your son liked? Did you ever find that yarn that your son liked? And she said, no, we haven't found it yet. And then I said, well, I think I have some yarn that may work. I just want to show you. I mean, it is just so pretty. It does look like a beach. Anyway, it's super soft. No. And I found that yarn, and then I said, I'll just make up a small little, I mean, it was like, I believe it was like 13 by 17, not too big, just little, but something that he could hold and, work through his anxiety. Some kids like to put their fingers through things just to, to hold it or whatever. So she found this with her son at Michael's. And at first I was like, oh, it's not really pretty. It's really pretty yarn. It's really, really pretty yarn. And I said to her on Monday, because I said, I'm really close to getting done with your blanket, but I'm not quite done. And I really wanted it to be done over break, but because of circumstances beyond my control, I wasn't able to finish it. So she said, well, let me know how much you want. And I said, no. I want to talk to you about this. And I said, I've been thinking, the best thing about this blanket, the very best thing about this blanket reminded me of who I am. Not what others judge me as, but who I am. I am a creative person, and if I do not follow my creativity, I stifle myself. I make myself angry. I make myself miserable. So I am tired of tapping down my creativity. I said to her, I have been thinking, and you don't know what I've been thinking because it's in here, not out here, but I told her I had gotten my crochet sweater book. Hold on. And the reason why I haven't made anything out of here yet is because my gauge wouldn't be even. Knitting is nice for me because I can be consistent no matter how long I let it sit. I am consistent with my gauge. Crochet is a little bit more looser. Crochet is a little bit more, like, how are you feeling? Are you feeling really angry and you're doing everything tight? Or are you really relaxed and everything's just flowing? Crochet is that way. So I said to her, I have been thinking while making this blanket that it was never my intention to get any form of payment from you. And in fact, you have given me something that I had asked, basically, like how to get into how to get back into crocheting, because I had given it up from doing all those crochet scrubbies for that gun company, and I was kind of burnt out, but I really want to make garments. So that's why I have shifted more to knitting. I have started to teach myself how to sew, but I put my stuff away and it's really hard to get it out when I can just grab a simple bag and start working on something. You see what I mean? So I told her that this is a reciprocal gift. She has given me something as much as I am giving her something. So I'm not accepting any payment, and it is so close to being done, and I cannot wait to give this to her and then hear down the line that her son is so happy because she needs a little bit of help. You know, whether you're religious or not, or, you know, like guardian angels or your spirit guides or whatever they may be, the fairies, whatever it is, the little elves in the shoemaker cartoon, remember in the olden days? They were birds and then they turned into elves and they helped the shoemaker and then they had all the shoes and then they weren't poor anymore and they could eat. Sometimes you just need a little bird that turns into an elf to help you get along in life. I love that cartoon, by the way. Anyway, so I am almost done. Can't wait to give it to her. I really can't. My cat, Tallulah, who usually shows up in these videos, is sleeping soundly today because she loves this yarn. She tries to take it all the time. And, you know, I don't want her to. I'm just going to check. Okay, my last thing I'm going to show before I wrap up here is... what did I do? I don't know what I did. I think I don't know what I did here. I'm having a really hard time with my vegetable patch sweater gauge. I was working on this right before my life kind of got difficult last week, and I didn't write anything down about this. I thought I would remember. I think I just shoved it in the bag. I shoved it in the bag and said, F this. So I did write down these notes before I did this. The vegetable patch cardigan is in my Knit Picks Homestead Cables book. I have all the yarn. I'm just going to show you the back because it's just easier. It's this one right here. It's beautiful. I am getting used to the pattern. It calls for a size 5mm needle. So I did that first. And you're supposed to get 25 stitches per 4 inches in the pattern blocked. I got 20 stitches for 4 inches. So I thought, well, I better size down. And I went down 2 needle sizes to a 4mm or 6 US 6. I used a wood needle for that one. I used wood needles on both gauge swatches. So that one before blocking, I'm reading my notes, was 24 stitches per 4 inches unblocked. And then I wet blocked it and it became 22 stitches blocked. And right now, I'm like looking at it, I'm like, I don't even know where I am on this. I'm going to have to tear this apart because I have no idea what row I'm on. Anyway, this is a size 5. This is my 5 zing. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know where I put the other gauge swatch, and I don't know if this is the gauge swatch. I don't know what I did. To be perfectly honest, I have no idea. My thought is, yes, you're supposed to use the needle size to match the gauge swatch. Would a size 5 be too small? You know, I mean, I feel like I'm going down 3 needle sizes. So, I don't know. I'm very confused. I'm at this right here was what I was working on when everything went. It wasn't. It was. And it set me back. And now I feel like a block towards this. So I'm going to work through that block. Will it be this week? I don't know, but I'm going to work through it. So I have been watching podcasts since the first shutdown in 2020. I didn't realize I needed it. So like before I started my knitting groups, which was in 2018, I watched TV and I crocheted and I knitted and it was fine. You know, I was learning and I was trying to learn, but I didn't watch YouTube that much. I thought I can find stuff in books, and I wasn't really into YouTube at the time. I had other shows that I wanted to watch, or maybe I dabbled into YouTube, but not very much, or like I wanted to learn a certain stitch, but I was really timid and I only did things that were easy, and that was important to me, like making a scarf, which is really long, but it's the same stitches, or making this. Like I made dishcloths, so I thought, well, why not make a shawl using that same kind of dishcloth, whatever. This took a long time, you know, but it taught me tension. It taught me perseverance. It taught me that wool is good. I am a little chilly. That it taught me a lot. And, you know, when I started my knitting groups, it was like, okay, I'm going to describe it in farmer terms, okay? Like, so you have pastures, right? If you ever see a show or a documentary and they show the cows in one pasture, right? And they're all like, woo, woo, hanging out. But then you open that new pasture and they're all like, woo, woo, and they run through and they start eating all that fresh grass. That's what the knitting groups were like for me. It opened up a gate and showed me a huge amount of possibilities. Huge amount. Yes, there's always good and bad with everything, whatever. But then with my work schedule, I wasn't able to be part of those yarn groups, those knitting groups with the shutdowns. We all know what I'm talking about. In 2020, it was scary. And I really got scared. And I thought, am I prepared? I mean, I've always been very keen on time and preparedness. Maybe it's because my dad was an Eagle Scout and it's ingrained in me. But I've always thought to myself from the age of 9, I need to be prepared. I need to know as many things as possible. I need to know how to sew, to knit, to crochet, to embroider, to cook, to clean, to bake. I need to know it all. I need to know woodworking. I need to know everything that there should be. I'm a constant advocate for learning things you don't know. Now, this channel is teaching me things I never knew I liked. I never knew I could sit in front of potentially millions of people, although I'm not getting that many views. So potentially up to 50 views. Oh, that was my big one. I'm not giving up. Perseverance. Why should you give up just because no one's watching? This is teaching me so much. It's teaching me that my creativity matters. Sure, it's just another making podcast. Sure, I'm just babbling on, going on and on, talking about stuff, but there's these nuggets of information that you get from others. Like, I was scared. I was so scared to use my sewing machine because I thought I would break it. Okay, I watched Nancy Zeman. She was from Wisconsin. She has passed away from breast cancer, but she was a mainstay on PBS for decades. And I watched her and I thought she was such a good teacher and I wanted to do things like her. But I was scared of my machine because what if I broke it? You can get them fixed. Anyway, then with the shutdown, I felt like I was being shut down. And I just really put myself into my creativity. And then I said to myself, well, if I'm afraid to use my machine, maybe I should learn how to hand sew first, and then I won't be as afraid to do it on my machine. So that's how I found Bernadette Banner. And she is all about the hand sewing and historical dress, which is right up my alley. And then from her, YouTube added other things. And then I started watching knitting podcasts and I started going, oh, wow, this is amazing community. I'm not saying that, I don't deserve a seat at the table or that I do deserve a seat at the table. I am just happy if one person learns from me, then I succeed. So, anyway, I'm just going to keep on going. Let's see. All right. Yes. Step by step. I'm just reading my notes. You can always learn from someone else. And I truly believe that. We just got in my library at school a new book. I just processed it yesterday. It's a crochet book for children. And I thought, maybe I had something to do with that. Maybe her daughter did, because the librarian's daughter likes to crochet. So like, oh, I gave her a crochet apple for Christmas one year, and maybe, that sparked a conversation. And then maybe her daughter thought, oh, I've always wanted to crochet. Why not? Maybe she learned from her grandma. Maybe she learned via a book. I don't really know, but we can all learn from each other. So I think that is about all I have to say today. I have talked for over an hour. I never think I'm ever going to have enough to talk about, ever. And I always seem to go over an hour. This is really nice. I should keep it on because it's keeping me warm. Anyway, take care. Have fun. Keep on creating. And don't let the bastards get you down. Bye for now.